There it is. There it is. Trevor, yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Can you hear me
Yeah, a
all
lot better
right?
today. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. I can. Thank you for being here. Um, it's not always easy to get some time out of the day to come, spend an hour, 2 hours, whatever it takes. We're welcome to spend the time with me here today. And I know it's not easy to come in and start, telling stories about the things that we've been through because it's absolutely draining for sure. It drains me to talk about my own, and I get drained even just spending the time with guys. I'm matching the energy right there with them. So I appreciate you coming here to do this. It's not easy, but it is a benefit. And whatever we talk about, anything you're comfortable with is going to be helpful for you and me, and then for others, they get to see it. And I want to build opportunities and awareness here. Trevor, you got a page, you've got a platform called Stand by Dad, and
Absolutely, yeah.
that's how we found each other. And I've been a quick follower and a supporter, so I'm going to promote that here today. We'll talk about it. And Trevor, you're up in Canada. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm based out of Vancouver, BC, so not too far off from you, but yeah, up in Canada. But
In
yeah, yeah, I
Vancouver.
was,
In Vancouver,
yeah, I
where
was
do
just
you?
gonna,
That's you're West Coast.
yeah, that's right. I'm from the West Coast, so
Hey, I you have an interview that's already out there on YouTube with hang on, I got it written down. Let me see. It's called Daddy Issues the Truth. Is that other YouTube channel and
yeah,
Instagram account. Another guy that I just followed. I like him, and he's built an app to help fathers document everything for family court. So that's something I'm going to keep returning to here. The more I learn about it, and hopefully we'll get an interview here with him as well.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure
But
he'd be up. I'm sure he'd be up for that for sure.
I will link that interview, that YouTube link, as a part of all your links, especially Instagram, the podcast you've already done, so we could catch anything maybe we don't talk about today, and the other podcast. I didn't get to watch all of it yet, but I have it linked and I have it saved. I've had it pulled up on my phone for several days now. So, but anybody that sees this, he's spoken before, and so it's good to have. It's good to be up in multiple places.
No,
I want to learn more about how, a little bit who you are, what your experience as a dad, and how you came up with starting Standby Dad. I love the name, and I'm sure just like with American Fathers, can be dynamic and improve at any time, or change or form or whatever we need to do to make sure we're putting out a good message out there.
absolutely,
But
absolutely, yeah.
I right here when I do these sometimes, like, my this is for anybody that's curious about it, may not even be really noticed by others watching, but when I do the camera here on my home computer, camera is like it's got a crack across it, so it's like it's all blurry whenever I use it. And then so I hook this thing up to currently for now, um, with my iPhone, and so it kind of comes off to the side. The only thing I have an issue with is that when I'm talking to someone, I don't mean to not be eye to eye with you, but also I think that it might be okay for a podcast setting to kind of where the focus is more on you, and I'm looking towards the guy I'm talking to. So I think there's maybe a benefit with it there too. A little bit better background as well. But yeah, I had a group on Saturday. Somebody has already offered to send some extra podcast stuff and kind of help, teach and support some of that. That's a cool thing about a
Awesome.
bunch of good guys getting together and wanting to help and promote each other's platforms, which is exactly what I want to do here for Trevor. And Trevor does the same. He supports and shares in some of the stuff that I share. On the Instagram, I got a separate strategy for Instagram, and this is a place to kind of tell stories so people are aware a little bit of what we've been through. We talk about it in a safe way, in a responsible way that doesn't bring any more damage to you, but Um, so how did you get to where you're at today, Trevor?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I'm a single dad of two girls, two young girls, 3-year-old and 9-year-old. Um, yeah, and like kind of tying in that other podcast and kind of what you're doing, like the whole message. I think like the more broader the message is, the more you can find ways to get through it, like as individuals, right? So having the broader message is always a good thing too, right?
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, it
I'm a father of daughters myself. I got four. So it's cool to
for,
hear that from you. 3 and 9 years old. I've got four daughters and a son on the way.
oh man,
Yeah.
4 daughters.
Sometimes I don't mention that every time here on every show, so it's good we got to bring it up. But I appreciate having little girls, man. It's like it's so special. 3 and 9 years old. One of my kids is 3 years old. And my oldest, she's 16. It's the one that I've been through my family court stuff with. I haven't seen her for 7 years right now, so I
Oh
can come
wow.
here on a level to where I relate to a lot of guys and what they've been through. And even before that, it was like 8 or 9 years of family court, but before she hit 10 years old, and then now she's almost 17. So man, I love that you got little girls. That's so sweet.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah,
to
and
interrupt.
it sounds like our journey is a little bit the same there too. Like my older daughter just turned 9 recently, and it's been 7 years and counting of family court. Just had to file again to take her back to court, so
That's
kind of
never
same
easy.
journey there a little
Uh,
bit.
yeah, I've been back. I started in the end of 2011. Like paperwork started moving around in there. October, November, December. We had a 50-50 agreement like December 15th of 2011 or something in there, mid-December. And then 5 days later, they had false accusations of a domestic violence. And then we were back in court mid-January, got a new order. And then it was funny, that order said we got an order in January 2012. A few months later, mom was already filing a third time. She had filed all three times to change it and then didn't follow through with it. I didn't know this till I learned to look at the court paperwork and the registration, kind of like the whole summary of it, all the motion in the court years later,
Yeah,
and then filed again to bring me in by August of 2012. And we got another, well, that was our second order, no, our third order in less than 12 months. That order actually said this order shall not change. And 1 year later, we went
Jane.
back again, 2013. And then we were back again, 2015. And then 2015, we went in there almost all year and had maybe two or three temporary orders before we got a final order. And then we went again in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. And that was the last time I was in court. So and I can understand, like, it sucks to go back. I've always feel like throwing up before I go in there. There's days I did throw up before I went in there. I had no energy. I had one time I was in jujitsu in San Diego, which I was new to, and I cracked some ribs, but I still had to drive 4 hours up north into Kern County in California to get to court. And like I'd never had a rib injury before, but you can't breathe when those
No,
things
I
are broken.
can't.
And I went there and I sat through court like that too. And I wouldn't eat. I drive for 4 hours. I leave at 3, 4 in the morning to get there before 8 a.m. For court, 8:30. I already hear that. Like you got to go back and
and
never
and
fun.
that's the frustrating part. Like hearing your story or however many stories you hear, it's always the same thing. It's always back to court, had to do this, had to do that. She didn't follow the order. Something like that. Some sort of domestic allegation that you have to fight. It's literally it's like rinse and repeat over and over and over again.
It is, and I've seen that with my every interview so far. Is I just did another one about a half an hour. We finished before I started this one. Two is tough in a day, but like both of you guys are very important to me, and we had an opportunity today, and I'm doing another one in the morning. It's good. I appreciate that it's growing.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And,
Your page is growing pretty quick, pretty fast, so you're doing good work.
and it's because of you guys that hop into support right in the beginning. You're one of my very first followers, and we connected right away. But that's what it's for, because I hate that I've been through it. I hate that you've been through it. But when we create platforms like you and I have, the struggle becomes a strength, and it puts us on a level to be able to understand other people and actually benefit others around us. Like, hey, we can talk about this together. But yeah, going back to court it's been a theme like on every interview so far, that they're the opposition, the mothers will throw stuff at the wall to try to see it, whatever sticks, over and over multiple times. One of the guys I talked to, he couldn't share his face or his actual name. He's in the United States, and she'll get allegations dismissed, criminal stuff, serious criminal stuff, even about harming the children, and they would dismiss it. There would be several investigations by several organizations, and then as soon as that's all done, she did it
Back to
again.
work. Yeah, of course.
And she did it like a third time or something. So it's a recurring theme. And I think any of us fathers, men, deaf will look down on actual violence, against women, children, and but that's what's played on, when they manipulate everybody else and say, hey, he did this. They take advantage of everybody else around them to kind of to make him into a villain, to get sympathy, to hold on to some reputation that it's sad that they get obsessed with, but it
And
happens in real life.
and I think that's one of the things that was like always the hardest part for me to I hate saying, oh, I'm used to this now, but like I'm used to it. It's been 8 years of it. But the hard part is like majority of the time they're bashing your character and who you actually are. Like the false allegations about abuse and all that kind of stuff. That's completely against the majority of characters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Naturally, men, uh, that's what our DNA builds us to do. Yeah, there's some bad people out there, but the only thing that's ever stopping them is the rest of us, the majority of us. We
Yeah.
do feel that. We would
And,
never do anything to harm women and children, right?
and that's the kind of the biggest problem that I have with family court is you're not just in there begging for to be a part of your child's life, which psychology reports everything will say the benefit of having the father in the life. You're also there defending your character. You're there, like you said, going through all that, still driving 4 a.m. or still making sure you're there on time. You're put through all of that just to because you want to be a father, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it is very difficult. What comes to mind when you're saying that is, even outside of the court, I've learned a lot of like inner security and self-esteem with this over the years. But when I was 21, 22 years old, when I went through false accusations of domestic violence against my, partner, we
Beats you
weren't even
up.
dating at the time, and we didn't live together at the time. I wasn't sure how to handle that in like day-to-day life. And one of the hardest ones is like, if you're pretty damaged if you're trying to have any other relationship, because men don't really get a lot of emotional support from each other as men. We get it from a woman. That's a benefit of having a partner in your life, and the actual beauty of what women are built for and
Fine.
what they have to offer in our inner working relationship. And I went through a lot of them where I didn't know how to bring any of that up. Should I bring any of that up? Well, I have respect for them. They should know kind of like everything I'm going through. And like for anybody out there like that's going through it, you don't have to just like bring it up right away, or really extremely worry about it. When you meet somebody, and it's saying another dating relationship is, if there's any issue, yes, it's good. Be honest. You don't need to hide anything, but you also don't need to just like, hey, this is what I'm going through, right? When you meet somebody, a good woman out there, and the same thing for the men, the opposite way, they will. It's not a cat and mouse, like pursue you, play dumb games, really type of a thing. A good relationship will be somebody that has love for you. When they see you, they see you as someone that they want to care about. They don't need to have like pity and sympathy for you, but hey, a relationship on both sides is two people that support each other in every way. And for the
100%.
guys that are out there and you're dealing with that and you're kind of afraid in that, maybe it's not the right relationship for you. Maybe you should wait a little while, and get past some of that stuff. I know it's hard without having a partner or anybody to talk to, but don't worry about it so much, for guys. 'Cause I was a 21-year-old, 22, and I was like, dang, I didn't even know exactly what all family court was, what domestic violence was, really. I had been around it a little
So
bit as a
quick.
kid, but you don't know it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I was saying that all that stuff forces you to grow up pretty quick, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a big lesson or important thing about platforms like this is like you said, like for those guys going through it, don't worry about finding the next one or whatever it might be. Like it's okay to now in today's day and age, there's guy groups like this where it's okay to talk to guys about what you're going through.
Yeah, it is. That's the emotional support part, that's it's a place. And like for Saturday Pacific time, 2 p.m. group calls, there's no charge to be there. And it's just like any of these interviews for anybody that's thinking about maybe telling their story and they're kind of maybe coming in and binge watching interviews here on this podcast as it grows is it's just a chat. This is the first time me and Trevor have talked to each other face to face. We've interacted in the direct messages a few times, of a bunch of times already. And especially I like the content and messages he shares. And he shows support in a lot of the stuff that I share, but it's just a conversation. Wherever the conversation goes, it goes to good places. Even just last Saturday was the third one. I showed up by myself 2 weeks in a row, but the point is to be there. And so guys will understand that I'm just going to be there. And then there was three of us last week and we had great conversations. It's good to be able to get some stuff off your chest to somebody and to somebody who, dude, we all of us are gonna in some form have been through it and can really understand and talk back and forth about it. It's all right. Hey, here's how I messed up when I was going right through what you're going through. Here's an example. Like you show up at 6 p.m. on a Friday pickup for the weekend, and you just had a bad experience like on your 1 day a week, Wednesday or Tuesday pickup before that, where I'm outside of the house and the pickup says 6 p.m. It's like, okay, 6:10, 6:15, nothing, you know, 6:20. It's gone further, and don't go sending a bunch of text messages, cussing, name calling. And I get a lot of guys have made that mistake. I've made that mistake a bunch of times. And it doesn't,
Yeah.
you got to learn things like don't go, it's not worth having that conversation with them. You probably are going to be in a place where it's better to, it's not legal advice here, but it's like what I would do, get ready for your contempt documentation. You got to have some type of picture video while you're there, but don't get into arguments.
Yeah, and that's kind of the hard part too. After you go through something like that, is like you're always kind of on guard of like, okay, I need to record this or I need to screenshot this conversation, or if I say this, they're gonna screenshot it or something like that, right? So
Constantly. And here's the thing with fathers, like with dealing with, because I've been in back into court where the judge will say, I'm not dealing with he said, she said, right? But their accusations are fact in there. And what you say, they tell you to be quiet. That's not admissible. That's hearsay. It's terrible, whether you have like an attorney or not, like especially if you don't have one. But uh well, when you're in there and you're saying, well, you weren't there, you can't prove anything. Okay, well, now you're in a position where you have to take a picture. Well, now you're outside of maybe their house and you have your phone out taking a picture or a video. And you know what they do? He's videotaping my house. He's stalking me. He's trying
exactly,
to.
yeah,
And another one is that is very hard for the kids. So you don't want most of the time they're going to be very small. Even teenagers, like it's hard. It's not a good thing. Like for the kids to come outside and dad's out here with the video camera, like it's very stressful. So even in that position, I would say it might be good to have, and we don't really have it. It's almost impossible. But if you have another friend that could be there, the child doesn't see that maybe can take a video for you or something. But well, what do? They say, oh, it's stalking. They have other people coming to my house. They're videotaping me. He's going to
it,
do something crazy on social media live. I've been through all that. you know?
Oh yeah, it'll get spun in some sort of negative way, right? Eh,
Yeah, and you're
and
just
and
trying
that's the
to,
hard that's the hard part, and I think like what you're saying about having the good group of guys to speak to about that was like, guys, you need to sit back and think about the outcome of what could happen, right? And
yeah,
how it could get spun.
exactly. And when you have guys that you know are going to be there every week, or at least like I'll be there every week, and different guys will be popping in and out. I've been talking to guys all over the world, and there's some time differences, but they do care and they want to come talk and share some of their experiences that I've already talked to. And we're Canada right now as well. It's everywhere. It's a very common thing in the Western society, but to have guys in there to say, "Hey, here's," and it, it feels very justified in the moment, and it's like we do in one perspective, we have a right to be upset, but there's a strategy,
Yeah,
and you should know, even though you're totally, I understand, you want to get angry about something, but if you do, you could have it all fall out from underneath you if you do. So let's not do this week. And I think it will empower guys to say, "Hey, I did great this weekend, dude. I went through hell, but I didn't let anything bother me, and she doesn't have any ammo against me now because I was
ex-
calm the whole time."
exactly. And I was just gonna say like, those are things that you wish somebody kind of told you back in the day when you started going through it, right?
I wish, I
Yeah,
wish. And social media was still even kind of fairly new. I think Facebook started in 2010, and I was in family court in 2011, so it wasn't really there. And then in some ways, like there's bad people around us in our daily life that are supposed to be close to us that actually don't care or maybe even want worse for you. Sometimes your best friends, well, guys and girls can kind of do that. They actually kind of want to see you lose or something. But also, even if there's good friends, good coworkers, and good family, they don't understand. They don't. First, a lot of people don't want a lot of negativity. It's hard. Every time I see John, every time I see Trevor, he's talking about this. I don't really want to see him anymore. I don't have anything to say to you. Like it's very stressful. So to have a place to come and talk about that stuff where it's very welcomed, and we understand how important it is for me to just shut up and listen, and then have some helpful pointers and not say, "Oh, you're going to let him do that to you," or you better go get him back or anything like that. That's not the way. It's like, unfortunately, we got to really take a lot of punches.
no, no, absolutely. And that was kind of like what you touched on there. That was kind of the hard part. I remember when I first started going through it, is people who were closest to me kind of like justifying it or telling me how I should deal with it or this and that. But I'm like, you don't know. Like you don't know what it's like. So if it in my experience, it helped a lot finding dad groups and other guys that are going through it, right?
Yeah, and plenty of them. I would encourage, like, if you got opportunities, some guys, it would be good to talk to somebody every day or something. If I could have something on a Saturday, another group might have something on a Sunday. And I like with me, I just today, and I'll be doing it tonight for the first time with the help of with Trevor helping me pass, just getting another follower, another follower. I just passed 1,000, so I'm pretty sure the 1,000 is I can go live on Instagram. So 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. I want to have YouTube and Instagram. YouTube, I need 50 subscribers, and there's like I'm like halfway there. But Instagram, I'll have my phone up live, and I'm going to be doing the same video. I'm going to film myself with another camera, and then I'll post that video onto YouTube. It may not go up the same night, but I want to just kind of cover topics, go back over stuff a little bit from the week. People watching my content might say, "Hey, you seem crazy mad about this one. Like, what's wrong with you here?" I can understand that. Or like, "What were you talking about here?"
That's a
Any
great
kind of
idea.
questions. And they're people immediately in the social media world, not someone who's taken the step to show up to a group. So it's another layer, a little bit closer and more accessible. So I think those Instagram, I'll be able to post them afterwards. There'll be a chat and stuff in there. I can do questions, and then even as I'm talking to that, I'll have it filmed and then I'll put it up. So, but what YouTube, if I have to have two phones up, or I think I need like a HDMI cable or something for my camera to go live through that for YouTube. I would be live on both. I can react to comments on both, chat with brand new people that are coming in. I'm sure there's going to be challenging stuff or people will attempt to sabotage, but I'm
Yep,
I'm ready for that kind of thing.
you're ready for it.
Yeah, so the Wednesday, and then Saturday the group calls, and I'm not charging for any of it either. It's a good place to come in. If you're new and you really, really want to talk about something, like, maybe message me throughout the week and say, can we talk about this? And I'm going to make space for the guys. It's,
to
hey, this
ask
is very
questions.
important with this one. He's going to go through something this next weekend or this next week, or he's got court coming up and he'd like to talk about it, so we could all just talk together. And there, dude, when different people come together, no, not one of us has all the answers. That's the beauty of all of us being on this earth
Absolutely.
together. Everybody's got stuff that nobody else can say and help with, whether it's like your own platform, or I'm going to be talking to a lot of guys that find health and fitness helpful. So they help coach with like fitness coaching and life coaching at the same time.
Yeah.
And I see abundance with that because I have Iron Read where I'll offer online fitness coaching as well, and I will charge for that. But at the same time, if a guy comes in, it's like I can't afford nothing, but I want to. How do I get healthier? I'm still going to help them. There's plenty of different ways to do it without having to sign up for a 3-month program or anything. And but I'll
Yeah.
promote everybody's father's platform. If it's another fitness coach, whatever's going on, the guy I just got off an interview with, he's got a natural ingredient supplement company, and he is in Panama and Colombia. We're already getting all over the world. It's pretty cool. I
Everywhere,
get the
eh?
Canadian flag with you, and I know another Canadian I'm trying to get in here pretty soon, Richie. And it's nice. It's all over the world.
No, that's good. Yeah, touching lots of different folks.
Yeah, there's different laws, of course, in different areas, but it actually turns out to be pretty close to the same. I think there's a very similar design across the board. And so can I ask, how old were you? How old are you now, or how old were you when you became a dad?
So I'm 35 now. I just turned 35 in December. Became a dad at 26. I guess I was 26 when my first daughter was born. So
9, and then a dad again at like 29 or 30, somewhere in there, second
yeah,
time.
yeah, or no, yeah, 32.
Okay. Or I mean, I did the math wrong. That's 6 years,
Yeah,
not 3 years. Huh?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
six
yeah.
years.
32, just after my 30s. So, yeah, I'd gone through separation with the first one and thought I like figured it out and I was gonna not make mistakes again and do this. And then, uh, I call it Delulu land. When you first meet a woman, everything's all sunshine and rainbows, and then they have a kid and they change a little bit.
I'd like to, yeah, that brings up several different things to mind. So you have with two different women, you have two different kids. This
Absolutely, yeah,
is hard for men. Is every time, this is what's scary about being in a relationship, and especially about getting married, and even more so about having more children, is it's like you're risking going through it again, and a lot of guys do. I've had that risk when my first child is with the first relationship. We weren't married. But then, and I had a bunch of relationships in between because it was a long time. It was over 10 years since I had my next child. I had
yep,
my first at 20 years old, which is super young. I was 20, and then I had my second daughter. I have four daughters in a row, and now I have a son on the way. But I'm married now, and even with my wife now, like we went through bumpy times, and we could have split up a bunch of times. And it's a risk of doing it. I would break my heart if I had to go to family court with four more kids. They're right now. My son's going to be born in June. I have a 3-year-old, just like you. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. They're very small, and those are those years. It's like, especially the tinier they are, the more heartbreaking it is to know that they're not going to see you every day. It's very hard.
yeah, yeah, and
And so,
it takes a lot as a guy if you've been through it once to be like, okay, let's risk it again, right?
yeah, but and then you're on two different fronts. Like if you have to go to family court with both, it's not the same woman with the same plan, the same requests and arguments. It could be two, it could be multiple.
Yeah.
And
So
we're talking,
so like in my case, like essentially it's that's what it is. It's two different scenarios, two different allegations, two different whatever, right?
yeah. And then,
I mean, it's different. It's different, but same. It's all the same.
yeah, right. And man, it's draining. It's not good. It's just a lot of us dads too just think that kids need both parents. We just like to have peace and some equality in parenting. It's not a trait typically it's very rare as a father to say, I'm going to cut off contact with your other parent, or to not even say, like, can we just share equally, you know?
Can you imagine if it was the other way around? Like if it was men who were the ones who were like false allegations and keeping the children away and all that kind of stuff.
Then that, then
It
that
just
word
wouldn't happen.
patriarchy, it wouldn't. Yeah, they would be insane. That word patriarchy might actually have some meaning to it or something now, because I just laugh at it, especially if you've been in family court. It's like, what power are we supposed to have? We don't have no power, you know,
Yeah,
legally, you know, and that is a risk. What else was coming to mind with get two going on? Yeah, you go, well, it's going on two different fronts. You're going for custody with two different children from two different mothers, and then and how much harder is it then past that to think, man, all of us fathers, we want to have families, you know, and now it's like, hey, dude, do I even try this again? And what came up to mind was leverage. When you realize, yeah, I hear it's so annoying when people say it, because it's really people who don't have experience and they're frustrated, but they say, "Oh, you should have chose better. You know, you should
yeah,
have chose."
yeah,
That always comes, especially people who are trying to rage bait you and trigger you. You know, for anybody listening, they're gonna say you should have chose better. And if they're really trying to get under your skin, be ready for this, anybody, and don't let it trigger you. They're gonna say, "Oh, you deserve not to see your kids. They must have been telling the truth about you." And how long has it been since you see your kid? All those, like, they really try to cut in with and to just let it go, especially in the space where, like, I for myself, I have a platform, and I'm very polarizing with my Instagram reels and stuff. Believe me, they already come in and try to say things to get my anger. So I think God's got me in a way right now where I'm actually very, you know, self-secure, and I'm ready for that stuff. I can handle it properly
yeah.
and keep trucking forward.
You
With
know,
this stuff.
I heard like some advice one time about you know, comments or something like that, right? Like it's easy to stay calm if you know your side of the street is clean. So
There you go.
so you like you know the allegations are false. You like say whatever you have to say. It's all good,
Mhm. Yeah.
eh,
So
right?
it's good to have that tool. You know, you're safe and your side of the street is clean. That stuff's going to come. You know, even if you don't have a platform, you're not trying to advocate, which is always good. But for a lot of us, especially the guys in the thick of it, they're just trying to survive day to day. It's good to have tools like that. I'm glad we brought it up here. It's just be ready. You know, it could be your best friend, it could be your next girlfriend. Um, like one time I was homeless, and there was a an older couple that was like a father figure to me and his wife that brought me in, and I lived with them while I was working with him in the oil fields. And like we had I had actually gotten another girl pregnant at the time back then, and this was like right after I was going through court with my first oldest child. And this to answer the question, do I have more kids from that? No, this girl ended up getting an abortion because I
Mm.
was being faced with domestic violence restraining order violations, and I got arrested like from right after I got off work one day. This girl didn't want to deal with it so much,
So you got an
which was
abortion.
heartbreaking to me, dude. She got an abortion and she broke off the relationship. Like, whoa, those are other things. Like, people won't want to deal with it and they'll leave. And like that
Yeah,
was another family I could have maybe started earlier on. There's several relationships that were like, some of them, like that one wasn't even that great. I probably wouldn't have been promising, but there was other ones where a relationship would have been great. We would have been a family, and we lived together for a long time. One of them, like a year and a half, we lived together. We had a kind of little family in the home, and it got so much for her, she didn't want to be around it anymore. And then there I was, like, back without it again. But to go back on that story, I was living with this older couple. I was working with the man in the oil fields. The guy, he was right too. He was worried about me and having this other girl pregnant. He was upset with me over, like, signing off that I was the father. He's like, dude, don't even go sign that, which I would kind of disagree with that, because even still I was like, I want to be in this child's life. That's how us good fathers will want to be. Like, I'm going to be for my whoever I have a kid with, that kid is important whether I'm in a relationship or not. I want to be there.
Yeah.
And we got into such an argument, like he almost got in a fight with me, but then not him as the man, because typically men won't go this route, but the woman was like, "Oh, well, you probably did get violent. You probably did hit her, and blah blah blah." And it really bothered me back then. But even the close people will try to say that stuff. So it's good. I think it's
It's,
cool. That's why I like having these conversations. It brings up
yeah.
good points.
Yeah, absolutely, and like again, like I touched on earlier, like all like that's just bashing your character, and it's human nature to want to defend yourself and defend your character and what you believe in, right?
Totally. Totally. There's a lot of difficulties. Then you gotta, say, and I should have fought like with my uh that was a misdemeanor in California. I had nobody around me or older adults. Like my father had passed away. My mother was a part of pushing those charges forward. So I was totally screwed. And I had nobody to kind of say, hey, listen, dude, like, and like actually maybe look at the police report and stuff and say, dude, you should go to trial. I know they're trying to scare you with like a couple of years in prison or something, but you should go to
Yeah.
trial on this. If somebody would have told me, I probably would have eat mine.
Yep.
Instead, I was like, I just wanted to go to work. I was sleeping in my car for several months at the time, and I had just got a good job. I just wanted to, and I actually ended up losing this job because I had to go to court so many times. And then
Yeah.
twice during like an 8 month period, I had to call them the day after missing work and say, oh, I was in jail yesterday morning and overnight because of this with my family court stuff. Dude, they ended up firing me.
Of
Like, they don't
course,
want to,
yeah. They don't want to deal
they'll
with
get
it.
rid of guys just, yeah. They'll get rid of guys just because they have child support payments and they don't want to split their checks and do the paperwork. I've heard people say that. Like they straight up said, like if I got a guy on my payroll that's on child support through the state, I ain't doing it, and they'll let them go. So there's so many different aspects that come into play.
Oh yeah, and like it's wild how it just keeps happening over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, and so I'd say it's a pretty obvious, like it's a cut and paste system that that's a funny thing about hearing like, oh, he's abusive or something, because really, if we just look at a little bit of math, it's like the men have they'll get destroyed. And more than reputation, we could care less about reputation. The last thing we want is to see our kids. And
Yeah.
so why would we risk seeing our children? Beyond that, why would we risk losing our home, our job, and then reputation, which is
Yep.
still important, but not near as the rest of it, and money and but then on the other side, if a woman gets violent, which usually I think that that's what happens, and in my experience, like they can get violent and then accuse you of it, and then they get rewarded. They get supported
Happens all the
socially,
time.
they get rewarded. They get paid, they got the monetary incentive, the court supports it.
Yeah,
Um,
it happens all the time.
Mhm. The federal money, like with the Title 4D, the more I understand it, is if the court assigns a child support, which means one parent, the mom, will have the child more, then there's child support from the father. Well, the state gets paid money for like enforcing that
Yep.
and putting that order. And then I've heard I got to get real clear, especially every state eventually. And there's guys doing this groundwork that helps streamline it and make it more clear. But I think like the county gets paid and even the judge. Well, what helps guarantee majority time with one over the other and get that child support money rolling? Accusations of violence or the domestic violence restraining order. So I think they also get paid for assigning the restraining order. So if they don't ask too many questions, oh yeah, you're scared of him, restraining order, court and state's getting money, there's the child support, and now he's dad's gonna fight for it for the next 18 years. They're gonna keep coming back to court, high conflict. Mom's willing to do and say anything. Go ahead. Our attorneys will keep getting paid. Those attorneys become judges and they switch back and forth from being a judge to being an attorney. It's like it's a play sandbox in there for them where they're just raking in money.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a billion-dollar business, right? Like you don't make any
Hundreds
money
of
in
them.
courts from you don't make any money from criminals. Criminals are in jail. They can't afford. They're not paying. Most of the time, they're defenders and everything, right? The cash cow is the men in the family court, the children, and
Yeah, that's right.
that's always the part that baffles me is like it just get everything gets lost. Like the main thing is the children, and that just gets lost.
Yeah, it's sad that they are the tools, and I say it often. Like I get upset even with the police officers because they're part of the streamlining process, and that's supposed to be a hero's job. That's supposed to be something that little boys look up to, not the guys that are taking their dad away and won't let them see their dad in case they're if they like if fathers actually wanted to like just go show up and they were going to fight to see their kid, which they might feel like doing that. You can't because you'll go to prison.
Yeah.
You know, those, the police are there to stop you from that. It just sucks. And
The one wild thing I always find too, like no matter where you hear, like you're in California, I'm in Vancouver, all these different guys who have been through it, is there's no consistency with the system. Like one judge might say one thing, and then the next day a different judge is going to say a different thing, and then you go back to the previous judge and he agrees with a judge 3 times ago, and you have to follow that way, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's very daunting to like go in and be like, in my case specifically, like we're going back to court. I'm like, well, okay, this could go good if I have a judge that agreed with me on this point, but what if I have a judge that ripped me apart because I lost my temper one time?
yeah, exactly. And they switched them. I would have we'd enter into a new court proceeding would start, and you go in for your first day to kind of get things in order, figure out what everybody's position is, and you make another court date, and then they do another status hearing, and they push it out further. Well, 3 months goes by, and in the county where I'm from, we'll have a new judge on the same. It's not even like a finished trial. We're in the
Yeah,
middle of going up to a new judge. Almost, I think it was like every January, but they would do it more than that sometimes. I had one case take from like 2018 to 2022, and we had 8 judges. Like, what are we gonna do with that? One guy
yeah,
would
that,
assign a temporary order. My ex would like break it a bunch of times, and then the next one would come in and took away the last time that I had left before we didn't even have a trial. It was like a status hearing one time, and he took away all my weekends and gave me a couple of hours, on one Saturday twice a month. And I was like, dude, I didn't even we didn't even say anything in here today.
yeah, and then if you had a different judge, you might have got a different result, right? Like the just zero consistency.
And the lawyers that, the attorneys that are in there, they will, if they know that if they don't like that judge, they'll just get a different one.
Yeah, yeah, and
If you
they
ask
know.
for a different one, you're asking for too much, but they can window shop for the one that's going to get their job done.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of them they work in the same office. They are on group text messages together. They eat together. They go to their
Weddings
cocktail
and
lounges.
yeah,
And one thing worse that a lot of these are very dark people. I've heard about stuff in my area where there's like illegal topless waitress gambling venues that are like under the table, and guess what? It's like these types of court officials and stuff, and politicians that are in there, dude.
yeah, yeah, and then they got like secrets about like the one judge's wife or something like that, or right. So they do the
Good
other guy
point.
they do the guy the favor because that something happened at the cocktail party. It's wild.
Good point. That is a really good point. That one hasn't really been brought up yet before, and that is all true. I've had buddies I grew up with. One of them was talking about, and he went down a pretty shitty path. He never had any kids yet, but he was looking at some crimes, and his lawyer said, "All that matters, I'll go to lunch with this judge tomorrow, and I could change this." And
Yeah,
they're wide open. They'll go talk to him at lunch, play a game, play around of golf, and figure out what we're gonna do, and blah blah blah. Blah.
yeah,
That's the criminal
yeah.
side. It's even easier in the family court.
Yeah, it's a old boys club, right?
Um,
Typically.
yeah, the not following the order. maybe, fathers are, you don't get the district attorney in there prosecuting a crime. You're all of a sudden the prosecutor, and they tell you that you don't even know the law and you can't do a good job anyways, and they let it go. I've been through that. I don't know if you had to face a lot of that where maybe the order's not being followed. Have you dealt with some of that in your
That,
case?
that that's where I filed to go this last week or week before to go back to court is because the order is not being followed at all in any sort of way. And in BC, anyways, we have two different levels of court. There's BC provincial court, and then there's Supreme Court. Supreme Court is typically more expensive, takes longer. Even filing something costs 30, $40 every single time. And so it adds up real quick. So our trial was in Supreme Court, and the only way to get anything done is to file again in court, take another day off work, show up, and be like, hey, she's not following the court order that I've already spent a lot of money on. Can you get her to do something about it?
Yeah, it sucks going in there because it's stressful. Then you're worried probably about retaliation because then they could turn around and file back because they want in whatever way they want, could retaliate and say, "Oh, well, now you said this, I'm going to really bring it in court this time and make some more allegations or something."
Yeah,
I had my child uh well, this one I'll be careful about that part of it. I still have to deal with like it's eggshells, especially if you're on
oh, big
a
time, man.
restraining order. Sometimes that's one thing I've got to wait like about a year and a half before I can be a little bit more open about some of the stuff, which I'm fine being transparent about some of it, but I had a pretty serious thing that I had to bring in and I asked for an emergency order, and then it turned around all of a sudden I had a bunch of allegations coming back on me out of nowhere. And then the judge even said, "Well, you don't have any evidence of this, I'm not going to give a restraining order right now."
Yeah,
And they just kept pushing it and then broke the order over 200 times. And then we were back in there to a point where that had triggered me enough. There I was getting angry and talking too much. And then all they used was my talking to say, "Oh, but another restraining order. We don't, dismiss 200 counts of contempt. And now you're on professional supervised visits. And those don't even get
yeah.
followed."
It's wild stuff, man. It's crazy.
It is, man, and I know it's got to be difficult dealing with that with on two different battlefronts, basically fighting to see two different children. And then I don't know what the situation is, but then these children don't get to see each other.
Yeah, yeah. My one daughter asks all the time. My older one asks about the younger one, and like that's hard as a father to be like, oh, I don't know when you're gonna see her again. Like I'm trying to figure it out. Like, right? It's not just about me seeing the kid. You obviously want your all of your kids to have sibling relationships with the other ones, and then so it's kind of like a triple whammy. Like try. It's not just about me. It's like now I'm worried about how it's affecting my older daughter as well, right?
Yeah, okay. My oldest has never met her three younger sisters, and she got a little brother on the way. And what is it as a kid from a kid's perspective,
You don't
if you're gonna have
understand.
a little brother or a little sister, you're excited, especially a couple of girls, boys and girls the same, but in your case, just like mine, I have a bunch of girls. Like, my poor oldest daughter has had that taken away, and those years are missed.
Oh, big
There's
time. Yeah,
always a bright future, but those years are missed.
yeah, and then your other ones, they missed out on having an older sister,
Yeah. And then,
having that bond, right?
yeah, it's an excitement that is robbed from them. It's like, oh, I have all these things, and then it has a lifelong effect on your soul and your spirit. Kids don't deserve. That's what that is. It's like it's a depression. Kids don't deserve that. It's so sad.
Yeah,
They
and
don't
like
deserve.
our job should be to protect children, right? And then these kids that go through it are already getting set up for some sort of trauma, some sort of problems that might come from it. They're not given the chance.
Yeah. Yeah, in a case where as they get older, sometimes the manipulation will get stronger because they are starting to be able to learn more. So then the alienating parent will really lay it on them and treat them like an adult when they're not, tell them adult problems and then really just try to manipulate and turn them against you to where the older kids, like in many guys, a guy I just got off a call with and with mine, I think that it becomes a part where you get in fear of the younger ones meeting the older one because you don't want them to have especially if it's a first impression or an experience of like, oh, dude, you think this of my dad? He's the greatest person in my life. Like we're
Yeah.
this close every day, and they shouldn't be hearing something from. What's sad is it's not the kid's fault, but they've just been coached that way to have all these things. It can be a dangerous relationship. Then they become a danger, and now you have to worry about them not having
Yeah,
an interaction.
yeah. It's just unfair all around.
So I hope in your case that doesn't go that way for you, and that the next court dates, coming up, are successful for you as low as our chances always are. But anything can always happen. Doesn't mean that 100% of the time dads will lose everything. But what does matter is staying calm, throughout the whole thing. Even when you're getting
Yeah,
basically legally beat up, to don't hand them the case on a silver platter by having a crash out.
exactly. For any guy, it can go complete opposite if you do lose your temper a little bit, or if you do send some text messages or whatever else. Right? It can spiral really quick. I like what you said there. Don't put the case on a silver platter. Like
It does.
make it
That's what they
as
want.
tough for them as you can.
Yeah, that's what they want. They just need you to get angry one time, and then they just need their little excuse, and they'll run with it. And even if it's like literally nothing, and of course in your mind you think like, hey, well, I can get mad. Like, did you see what they did to me? And it's like, yeah, you can, but in this realm, in this reality, you got to understand the strategy not to. Have someone that you can talk to, people that you can talk to. I'm trying to provide that here. Other people are too. Figure out where those people are. Church could be great, but even inside of there, it could be hard to find. Uh, there's people in there. Maybe if you figure out how to have the right conversations, but being at coming to like the Saturday group meetings or something, having somebody to talk to stop you from. I helped a guy. One of he had a big change recently. He was like really upset that it's a normal playbook issue. The mom was going to be bothering, like they will straight up ask you when you get a court order, oh, I want to see your driver's license, I want to see your registration, I want to see your insurance before they're going to let you drive off with the kid. And it's like, how do you handle that
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah,
There's different ways to handle it, but if you get pissed off and get into a fight about it or something, and then like you could be things could get worse even though it wasn't your fault.
yeah, exactly. All that's doing is adding fuel to the fire, and so they can be like, "Hey, see, told you he's angry. Told you he's abusive."
Yeah, what's
Right?
sad is police will show up to those situations and then they'll turn and look at you as a man and father and be like, okay, well, let's investigate all this stuff. There's several things. Like one, get your paperwork in order. And if you don't have like your proper vehicle documentation for whatever country you're in, as hard as it is with other people to help you, get a ride there or something,
Yeah,
that way you can avoid it. And then if they start bothering them for like credentials or something, well, then I would say, and again, it's not legal advice, but in my position, like that's where you kind of can stay calm and just go towards, okay, well, they're actually breaking the order right now. So if you keep that well documented instead of giving them some freak out, crash out, cussing, screaming, or worse, then you can do better and you build up that pattern. Even though we're not respected, even when we bring that stuff to court, which is also sad, at least you're doing the right thing.
absolutely. Yeah, and again, just make sure your side of the street is clean, right?
That's right. No, I'm good to hear from you, Trevor. I'm glad. Is there anything else that maybe that you wouldn't share from? How about I'd like to hear about like Stand By Dad. I know you said this is something that's kind of new, and you may not be 100% sure where you're going with it, but I could tell in your heart you're sharing positive messages about dad being a hero, dad being dependable, dad's there for you, dad loves you. So what's going on there?
Yeah, I think like the idea of the page, it is fairly new. Like I've kind of, I was on that one podcast a couple years ago now. Uh, there's a Facebook group that I've been in for 8 years on a single dads group. So I've always
Good.
since I started this, I've always looked for or done is something to try and stay connected with other guys, right?
Yeah.
Standby Dad, like the name came to me because one of my best friends actually, I was texting him every weekend like, "Hey, she's not showing up for court order again," or she said she'll call me if my daughter wants to come over, and he's like, "You're not just a standby dad," and I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of how it is as a weekend dad. You're like you feel like a standby dad, like you're just on
Yeah.
stand, you're on at least many cases." I'm waiting to see if they're gonna show up. I'm waiting. My whole life is
Yeah.
on hold, waiting so I can have like 2 hours with my child, right?
Hmm.
And then I kind of just thought of the nail, like standby dad, but then it's also like standby dad, like the dads who are
Very
going
good.
through, kind of like what we've been talking about, like the dads who are going through this, and not necessarily like I know not every guy is gonna go through family court, but majority do. But we all need someone to stand by us too, no matter what. Like whether it's your daughters are a couple years older than mine, maybe I need a guy to stand by me who knows what it's like to have a teenage daughter or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or a standby who maybe going through a fitness journey or whatever it might be, whatever kind of positive thing that it doesn't necessarily all have to be the negative side of it, right?
I like that you have like kind of both fitting in there or a double speak, and there's two different things. I didn't pick up on that, and I'm glad I got to ask. It is the dads, well, the families are the fabric of everything, no matter what country you're in. If you're gonna have
Yeah.
I think it was the guy Robert Garza. He's in the United States, and I saw him on a podcast recently. And he himself, his message and what he's doing, he's actually very, very diligent on a legal front to change laws, rewrite laws, and put things that protect the whole family, really, but especially what dads are basically facing. He doesn't want to do a gender for gender, and I understand that to where they're getting on a legal level, and I can get behind that.
Mhm.
And I do my own thing on my platform, but he said, you can't have a strong country without strong families. So that's where we all come from. Everybody that's got two legs and two eyes and an opinion and a life experience and a story, we all have a mother and a father. We may not have
Exactly.
seen them, could have come from whatever scenario, but basically, that's where we all come from. That's how we learn when we grow up. Those are the first people that mean everything to us and are supposed to protect us, and we should be owing it to the kids to protect them.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. So yeah, I think that's kind of the idea for the page anyways, is kind of both sides of it, right? Like again, part of the fear when you're going through something is you're scared to ask. So maybe seeing a post of like, hey, a guy went through this with family court, I can follow that page or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah, and there it is. That's why I think I'm real quick. You can see it on your screen. I'm going to share here. I've had a little issue with it showing up in the actual recording. So I'll go back and I'll just do a screenshot and I'll share exactly what we're talking about. But we see the Instagram page here, Stand by Dad, and so this is a place I invite everybody that sees this to go follow and support. And even every one of these posts, I understand some of the scrolling, mental phenomena on one side where it's like, I see this, I really like this, but I don't take the time to hit like on it. Well, it does help a lot. There's a lot more behind it when you support pages like this. Hit the like button, hit the repost button, even save it and go a little further, share it on your story, leave a comment, just leave a heart or something. Or if it's even better if you
Yeah.
have some good heartfelt words, share an experience, send a message, respond to it and send a message, say something. All these pages like this, it's a very easy, free thing to do to show some kind of support, even if it's a like and you view whatever the video is for a few seconds. it helps. And so I invite everybody that's here, Standby Dad, to go follow. There's only 34 posts in there right now too. When I see something like that, I don't know if I did already, but I'll try. I have a pretty new page, so it shuts me down if I go through somebody's page real quick. But 34 posts to me is I'll probably go like every single one of them, or I'll like tons of them. And then every time I see a new post, especially on this page, I try to like it, repost it, share it to my story, leave a comment, and then if you haven't got a YouTube together yet, or anything further than just the Instagram, is that right?
Not nothing yet, but I think that's obviously the ultimate plan. I think like
Sure.
I appreciated that you were doing a podcast, invited me out. Like I kind of had the same idea
Yeah,
of just like guys getting together and having a conversation, right?
that's it. That's it. Like anybody do the same thing I'm doing. Offer a space for group calls. If you don't have a lot of time and you feel like you want to charge for it or something, it's whatever. But like setting up like Zoom, like for me, it costs like $15 a month to be able to do actual group meetings and save recordings. That's it. Um, Doing
And,
the
and to me,
podcast
my
thing.
vision, yeah, to me, my vision was never really about like making an income off of it or anything like that. Like, I believe a lot in like charity work and that kind of stuff. So, kind
Yeah.
of an idea I had with the page was like, I know what it was like when I was trying to fight, come up with all this legal money and all this kind of stuff while trying to pay rent, and then I still need $20 so I can eat something for the next 2 days, right? So
Yep.
I had plans on like different things on how to kind of give back to the single dad community, or just a dad who's struggling. Maybe there's a dad who isn't in family court, but he's got 5 kids at home. Maybe he needs a little bit of help to get him through to payday, right?
Yep. It is, so it's a good spot, and so I encourage it. You're very busy right now, and it's hard to focus on anything else when you got to go worry about going back into court again. But we got a lot of time ahead. I will be here to help promote, and when you do, I'll be there to support. And I encourage you. You get a kind of a run through here, and you've done another podcast already some good time ago. Do there's I don't see any issue with doing the same thing, because the more we all have us, we're supportive. There's more channels, more conversations being happened. I think it should happen as much as possible, because hey, there's a place to come tell a story. Oh, he's told a story on this channel too over here, and you got to tell it over here. I think it's great to have the conversations, and then when they get shared, there's guys, and myself included, where I understand the feeling where it's like, does anybody even know what happened to me in my life and me missing my kids or anything? You don't have to get on and like get real specific and share names and addresses and stuff like that, but just in general, hey, this is what I experienced in my life. And for people to understand, there are people who care. It is important. Your story can be out there and you're not forgotten. People care about you in the groups where,
Yep.
where people can get good. And it's a good place to encourage, like even for Trevor, he may not have any links or anything available right off the bat, but if anybody sees this, and if you're even local in Canada or anywhere, because the internet connects us in pretty much every way. If you want to reach out and support Trevor in any way, ask him if he needs anything. He can offer, advice, or it doesn't mean that Trevor even needs it. And men, I tell you, we don't want to ask for nothing, but I can take the position when I'm talking to these guys to encourage for every one of my guests. Some of them will have links and some of them won't. And if you can reach out especially for me and Trevor, either one of us, let me know, and then I'll forward a message to Trevor or get you in touch if you would like to talk to him, help him. If you got something to help with, if you're in Canada and you got some really good information and stuff up there, especially with the more we understand about someone's cases, or kind of the generals of what you're going through, they can say, hey, here's an option, or hey, you have daughters, hey, I want to get you a meal or something, or get you whatever. It doesn't even have to be money, so just basic support is so nice to hear from. I encourage that.
No,
Trevor,
I think that's one thing I've really appreciated about your page and your message is like you started sharing my stuff right away, and I know I definitely gained a lot of followers in the short week after we first messaged, probably just from you sharing my stuff. So I thought there's power in numbers, right? So the more avenues, the more platforms, the more voices, the better it all is.
And the creativity, look at the creativity you put together for Stand By Dad. The name alone is very heavy. A lot of guys are coming up with so many cool, great names,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
obviously one of us will hit it perfect. And some guys might come in and do like a terrible job and be a bad person even or something. I don't want to see that. And I have a room for if any, if I ever make a mistake, I'm open to correction, apology, whatever I got to do. I might say, "Hey, no, I didn't make a mistake," but I'd say it's good for encouragement, leave room for growth and understanding with each other. Stand by Dad is an incredible name, and it's one of those again. It's like you think like somebody never thought about this before, and I'm glad that's how important you are to do that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think originally I had the page was named like Under the Cape, kind of was the
Mhm.
theme that I was going by. But then, yeah, the standby dad thing, I'm like, hey, that's yeah, I like the double meaning behind it, right?
Absolutely, you can incorporate that too as part of taglines and things like that. One thing I see in mutual support, and here's a part of everybody has their own strategy. You may not want to go follow 3,000 people or something, but in my case, and for I'll say here for anybody else that's even thinking about it, even if you don't post every day, you post twice a year because it's hard. Go ahead and make the channel. Find a name. If you want help with one, I could help you. Trevor's obviously
But,
good at picking a name too. What I do, I got 1,000 followers in like less than a month. I've never done that before. I've had failure pages. Nobody wanted to watch nothing. Even my reels are not viral or anything. None of them are really. Other people are good at that. I could say I'm jealous of that. I see people make stuff that they got no followers and boom. But it's different
yeah,
skills. Stay
yeah,
calm.
that's the kind of the part that I feel like I'm struggling with a little bit. Like I'll be laying there like scrolling, trying to think of ideas of like content to post, and I'm like, oh no, I couldn't do that. This video is really good. Like, how do they do that? Right?
Yeah, and so but also that's more stuff that to talk about in like these group meetings or talk to each other. I'm very open about it. And what I'll say, like here, like with mine, I saw that these girls' videos were going very viral, and they're actually kind of saying vile stuff about men or about husbands, families, family court, mean things, or they're exposing a very bad behavior that I don't want anything bad to happen to these like women. And sometimes it's a dude on there. I posted something about a bad father earlier today that really hurt me. But they already go viral and they have their own hashtags. And so I was like, okay, reaction videos get watched, So I never did them before. And it's not easy to even put your face on camera in the first place at
No,
all.
I know. I've seen a lot of yours, and I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea. And then I'm like, no, that me putting my face on camera like that. I don't know.
And I don't want to take too much more of your time here. I think we're almost wrapping up, but just to give it, like I said, that was my idea. Reactions are working. And as far as talking on video, the first time I started talking on video in 2019 with a YouTube channel that's long gone now, my wife was sitting on the other side of me. I was pissed because my camera I couldn't see myself on my phone because I wanted to at least look at what I look like, but my screen was like backwards and I was pissed that the words were backwards. So I turned it around. She's sitting on that side I was like trying not to get frustrated with her because I was trying to set up a video and get him. It was for a business and I was like sweating and I had to be so perfect and I didn't know how to edit much of anything. And I was every time I said something, I was like, I'm done, I'm quitting. I've been through 7 years of trying to talk on, and even before that a little bit, but I'd say since 2019, failing until I just made this page a month ago. So I didn't just do this. I wasn't given a gift. I failed for 7 years over and over again. I said the most probably like cringe videos, retarded stuff. I experimented with stuff. I did the stupid alpha male thing for a little bit in like 2022, early 23
Yeah.
which is like you got to be ripped. You got to be up at 3 a.m. You got to fucking hit the gym 7 days a week. Don't be a bitch. And it was like if I would cringe at some of that stuff. But I was experimenting. I failed, and I learned and I grew better. And the good thing, at least through that, I saw, okay, this isn't right. Like this isn't like there's guys trying to go to court and just eat McDonald's today if they can afford it. This is not okay. This is wrong.
Yeah.
So I have to correct myself. I even deleted old channels I had that were starting to get a following. I was monetized on another YouTube channel. I deleted the whole thing because I had too many followers from different places. I was doing book reviews and I split it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I would just share real quick. I like that you have dad in the name because when they see your profile picture and dad is there in the name instead of under the cape, immediately they know it's a dad page. So it's very easy to just hit follow because people will tend
Mm,
to join in. I have a book channel. Everybody with a book in their name or kind of the picture, they're the nicest community on social media. They all follow back. I got like 800 followers and I only posted 6 times or something.
yeah, yeah,
Fitness world's not. Fitness world, they nobody, it's like it's very competitive. I have a page, it's like 75 followers. I don't care because it means something different to me. With this, fathers jump in, okay? I go to other fathers pages, I go through followers, I'll do like 1 or 200 until I feel like Instagram's about to kick me off.
yeah, yeah,
Find comments in a post that makes sense. You get a ton of dads in there. They have good things. I like the comment and follow them so they know where I came from. If I do a couple hundred of those a day, I get almost 100 followers a day. And
okay,
then I'm posting content. I know it takes time, and I would say just fail because you got guys like me that are watching you. And like if you there was a father the other night and he kind of really just like clammed up and shut out and he kind of had a falling out with me, and I don't blame him. He felt really not confident about what he was doing because it's easy to say, okay, like these stupid IKEA bookshelves or something, these are cheap. I'm not in a mansion. Like
yeah,
I actually Goodwill and I buy books for 99 cents and 49 cents for years to even put this together. Like this isn't special. I have a workout set in my garage. I've been trying to film workout content, and I've been personal training many different times for over a decade.
yeah.
Uh, it
You're
takes
just doing
time.
it. Keep trying.
Just try, if you're sitting in front of like on the couch or you're laying in bed on your pillow, who cares? It did the other people, there's going to be people that don't like that you did it because they didn't try it and they'll say something dumb. But anybody that's doing a good job and knows how many years it takes to appear like you just came out of nowhere all overnight, I appreciate it and I'll share it and I'll encourage it. I'm
Yeah,
never going to tell you this sucks or something. But anyways, that's how I grew this page really fast. I show my face a lot, and it's not that easy to do. I second guess myself all the time. I felt like shutting down this channel every day since I've started it, and I'll look at something else that I can't get a views over a couple thousand, even a couple hundred. I don't know. I go through it all day.
yeah.
So I hope that helps. I know Trevor, you got to get out of here probably. I'm
Oh, it's a
going to
great
support
message,
you.
man.
Anything else? So we talk outside of this, or anybody else that wants to do anything. I have a company that I'm also launching. It's the last page to launch. It's called Way Prepared. Basically, like to prepare the way, or preparation precedes profit. It's for helping businesses scale or to launch. But I also will help you launch your social media. And I'm not charging fathers for anything like this stuff right here. If somebody's starting a father page, come talk to me. I'll tell you everything I know in a pretty short time.
Yeah,
So, anyways, I'm glad we got to come up with some of that stuff and talk about it because I've failed so much. I got the most retarded stuff that I've made, the ones that have
well, you
done it,
just keep
they know
keep.
that it's okay. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
just keep
So,
trying, right? Keep trying, right?
yeah, or to get you out of here, you could, for somebody like me, if somebody's not sure, send it to me or something. Send me the idea, send me your short video. If you want help editing something, maybe. For my father stuff, I don't edit it that much. Instagram has the little reaction green screen thing, and it's pretty. I didn't used to have it, and I always wanted to do it, but I didn't want other apps. I didn't want to mess with. I'm tired of learning stuff. My fitness stuff is
Yeah, you
more
don't want to
fun.
have 8 different apps to.
Yeah, so Instagram's really forgiving now that it's like provided all that stuff. So, anyways, like let's work together. Guys like Trevor have a good heart, and they're going through very similar things. And it sucks, but you just got to keep going forward. Trevor, you got to keep staying positive. Don't hand the case over on a silver platter because you got mad. You got guys
Yeah,
like me in your corner and everybody else that's gathering here and every other father's platform. All right.
yeah. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate uh, the chance to speak with you today, and appreciate your support.
All right, man.
And
We'll be
and
looking forward to
right back at you too, right? I'm trying to share as much of your stuff as I can. It's got a good message,
no,
and
yeah,
love it.
no pressure on any of that. And we will, every one of my guests, I'm going to be looking forward to maybe having you back in the future and getting an update because people want to see. whether
progress.
court goes your way or not, you're going to win in the future. You're going to get stronger and more wise. And it's good to come back and see guys and say, hey, look, I've been making it through this. This is what's going on in my story now. So I'd love to have you back in the future. All of Trevor's links will be pinned in the comments underneath this YouTube video. Eventually, we'll get clips of these up on Instagram when the time comes. And yeah, just reach out. And if you want to help Trevor, ask him about it through his links or ask me. And Trevor, we'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.